At the end of March, I drove over 1,000 miles from a very sleepy village in Somerset to Budapest in Hungary, accompanied by just my 2 dogs and a lot of luggage. The vehicle I drove was by no means small, a long wheelbase Renault Master, and is considered huge and unusual for a woman to drive. Every step of the way I was beset with questions. Was it safe? Would I be okay? What if I ran out of money? What if my neighbours were nasty people? Yet I knew these questions were born out of fear, and my brain trying to protect me. However, I've never achieved anything from a fearful disposition. It sometimes helps to remember how far we've come. I realise now that the last 2 years put a lot of strain and anxiety on me. That same anxiety made me forget the months I'd spent in Madagascar, hanging off the back of tuk-tuks in Laos, backpacking through Honduras, and so on. It helped me to remember that all these journeys were carried out solo. Yes, I've traipsed all around the world on my own. In times like this, it certainly helps to remember how far I've come, how much I've accomplished, and where I wish to go next. The drive through Europe, although calm, was not without incident, as I was to find the changing climate conditions meant that although it had been sunny in France, as I headed deeper into the continent, it changed. And the change was dramatic. It grew colder and wetter as I carried on, and by the time I'd gotten to Germany, a snowstorm had begun and was getting heavier. As I drove through the autobahn, I realised I was in no way prepared for the wintry conditions I was experiencing. My van didn't have the right tyres and was taking a fair beating in the snow. The fear suddenly took over, and I pulled over to a rest stop and began to chastise myself. I called myself such things as stupid, incompetent, and then I paused as my senses took hold. I'd already gained a lot of ground. I was in the north of Germany and only a few hours away from the border with Austria. Interestingly, the snow, although heavy and blinding, was unsettling, which removed my fear of black ice. A quick check of the weather report showed that the weather in Austria was milder and there was no threat of snow. I chose to carry on. Most importantly, I pushed past my fear, and that's how it works, and it's on to the next thing. We will always have fears to conquer. Sometimes when these questions come to us in our time of uncertainty, it helps to pause, breathe, and question ourselves. Where are these thoughts coming from? Are they valid fears? As humans, I find sometimes the greatest monsters we have to fight are the ones within. Yet, somehow, so many of us are unaware of our internal battles and our crippling fears, the past traumas that hold us back, and more importantly, how to deal with these emotions. I'm glad I have a technique for working through my fears. If at any point in any of my travels I was ever going to die, it would most certainly have been jumping into a river in Laos. That incident involved a raging river, lots of confusion, and a 2 a.m. swim. However, I'm fortunate enough to have always met people with good intentions who have always had my back. So go on, travel, declare your love for that person. Do what scares you the most. You might fall flat on your face. Hopefully you won't die, but you might find you live 1,000 times more. My journey has taken me through France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Austria, and then I was in Hungary. And only a few hours till I got to my destination. And here I am now, in a small studio I'm renting for the spring and summer. It's small but cozy, light and airy. It was all worth it. The dogs are settling in. I've made lots of new friends. The landlord is lovely. The accommodation is nice and quiet. And most importantly, I'm finding the inspiration I was looking for. I have no doubt other fears will come my way, but I'll just keep pushing through and carrying on like I've always done.